Right? I mean, it is that time of the year again. Winter's coming in, and a lot of people will be falling sick or claiming to fall sick. And when people when people do, miss work, of course, it's got an impact on productivity, and also cost on the company. But also, it reduces some staff morale. When those that claim to be sick, are the ones that are consistently allegedly sick, right? But you do get people, of course, who are sick, people who need to take the time off. But you then get those people that are consistently absent. Uipotso re kante motho ona in a full 7 days, utlwa nna 7 days, in 5 days, the person is hardly at work. You see them maybe twice in that week. It truly happens, right? It truly happens where you hardly see your colleagues and you wonder, kante motho ona, why is this person consistently absent, right? Now there's something called the AVA or the AVA. I'm hoping that I'm saying it correctly, which means life in Hebrew. And we'll get more information about absenteeism, how to reduce it, what is the AVA solution, and how it can be then implemented in the workplace. On the line is Rodney Taylor, Managing Director at Guardian Eye, to speak to us about this. Rodney, good afternoon. Thanks for your time.
Good afternoon, and yes, thank you for reaching out to us for the interview.
So I've just mentioned this AVA solution. What is that?
So it's actually it's AVA.
AVA.
A lady's name Ava, and you're quite right. It means life in Hebrew, and that's what we're all about. Primary healthcare is all about improving people's actual life. Whether you're at home or whether you're at your business, and most of the time these days you spend at the office. So AVA was created to increase the person's life and primary healthcare while at the office.
And so, when we look at issues around absenteeism, right, and, how often people do become absent from work, what are some of the issues that arise, especially for things like productivity within a company?
Well, I think when your intro, you explained it pretty well. It's very difficult for a team to be working with somebody's missing. So it impacts the entire team. And at the same time, you might have a key person that's off, and without that key person, things can't be done. So what we found is, people that are off with unplanned leave is more ineffective than people that are off with planned sick leave. So the Bradford theory in AVA is what we're trying to combat, that unplanned leave or unplanned sick time is a lot worse than planned sick leave.
Unplanned is what much worse than planned.
So if you think about a team, if somebody's off once a week, over 4 weeks, or somebody's off only for 3 or 4 days consistently in 1 week, the productivity is broken a lot more if you're constantly off all the time. So a person that's unplanned and constantly off many times than a person that's off maybe for a couple of days and then gets better. If that makes any sense to your viewers.
It does indeed. Thanks for that. Rodney, there's then the issue, of course, let's come back to AVA quickly. When we look at this particular platform, right, what are some of the technological capabilities of it, and how does it really enable real-time consultations and remote patient monitoring?
So what we are saying, if a staff member is at the office and is not feeling well, he's still got the ability to leave the office and go and see his normal general practitioner, which costs between 500 and 700 rand. But what companies are starting to do is they're deploying our smart technology on site. So it's digital medical equipment, which fits in the size of a cell phone, and that medical equipment does a general practitioner's test using our digital AI and digital technology. And that allows us then connect to one of our virtual doctors. Within 40 minutes, the person on site would have been able to have a full assessment. A doctor would have contacted them, given them an exact diagnosis. A sick note would have been sent to them, and a prescription would have arrived in their inbox. So we're trying to disrupt that whole way of the traditional way of getting primary healthcare treatment.
Interesting. So, how then does this particular platform address the challenges faced by South African employees, and how can it assist them as well?
Well, one thing, companies in South Africa, medical aid is not offered to, not every company offers medical aid. So that's the first problem we're facing. The second problem we're facing is medical aid schemes and medical aid insurances can be costly. And also we find that our primary healthcare savings run out on most plans. So what we are saying to companies, for a tiny fee of 50 Rand per month, we give their staff unlimited access to our primary healthcare doctors and unlimited access to our medical equipment that's put on site. So the big drive is a cost factor. We find that costs in this country extremely high when it comes to primary healthcare. And the second part is definitely accessibility. Accessibility in some rural areas or remote areas is very difficult to access a doctor, getting to them, getting an appointment, availability. So what we are saying now, this is accessible at any time, at any place, because our doctors run 24/7.
So, it does sound like it will make it easier for employers indeed, for them to, be able to track also if people are telling the truth about being sick.
Definitely. Look, also keep in mind the doctor's primary goal is to make sure that the patient or staff member is healthy. Now, there's no incentive for him to take, consultations or to issue scripts. But it is what we found at the companies that we've deployed it at, up to 33% of the Bradford series, we saw an improvement. That means 33% of staff were at work more often once we deployed AVA on site. So that the data is telling us that we're onto the right program. Yeah.
And when did AVA come into the workspace, so to speak?
So the concept of AVA happened during COVID when nobody wanted to go and see a pharmacy, a nurse or a doctor. So we started designing and building AVA way back during COVID. Bringing this type of solution into South Africa requires a lot of accreditation. So we had to get all of those approvals in place. They can take up to a year. So this has been a 2-year project with us building and planning this product. And we are now officially live as of the month of April. We did extensive testing over 6 months, where we did testing over 5,000 patients or 5,000 staff members with high success rates.
And have you seen a reduce indeed in employee absenteeism, or from what you've heard from your clients?
We have, most definitely. We've got evidence to that. I mean, one of our customers over 6 months, they would normally have 2,300 days sick leave. During that same period, they had 1,200 days sick leave. So it's a massive, massive reduction. And for that 50 Rand a month, the bean counters have worked it out. It's better to have AVA on site and have the sick days come down.
So it's possible then for the doctor to say that a person is not sick enough to stay home?
I wouldn't say that. I'm saying when we do our diagnosis, what we did pick up is, an example is, we might have picked up that somebody was actually sick on the Wednesday with, say, an ear infection. And if they hadn't gone and seen a doctor, they would have been off for many more days. But because AVA was on site on the Wednesday, we could pick up the infection. The medicine could be delivered immediately, same day to the office. That person then was booked off for the 2 days, and he was right as rain on the third day to be back at the office. So that would be a reduction of a couple of days, because we caught the symptoms and we caught it at work early on.
And Rodney, I then wonder, right, for those people who thoroughly enjoy pretending to be sick, or those who, are consistently sick, there are people that actually have ailments on a daily basis. For those, let's just start off with those that like to pretend to be sick, right? We all have employees and colleagues like that who pretend to be sick. For those people who don't like work and actually pretend to be sick more often than they really are, how is it possible that AVA is able to track that actually you're not that sick?
Well, so the naughty kids, as we call them, that like to take off a Monday, what we found with the data, that often they would not be going to the same doctor. So now with AVA being based at a customer site, we start to build up a relationship between the doctor and between the staff member and the patient. So one, yes, we'll definitely pick up our equipment, and our doctor will definitely pick up a trend. And secondly, we found that the staff, when they feel that it's more of a company sort of service, they don't try and take advantage of it.
Does it also then offer mental health services?
So we don't offer any chronic or any mental health services, but we would recommend, we would pass them on to a specialist if the doctor identified or picked up those symptoms.
And so, this particular platform, as it evolves with time, do you foresee it being able to provide chronic medical advisory in addition to basic diagnoses?
It's definitely heading that way worldwide. Globally, it's definitely heading that way. We've already introduced our health and safety module, where we do, all your health and safety checks and medical sign-off. So that's something that we've also introduced. And this will continue to grow and evolve. We've also added a wellness model. So you've got your wellness component, you've got your primary health, you've got your occupational health certificates. And yes, chronic will definitely be something to consider into the future.
I think that chronic is definitely needed because, we see more and more people, younger even, that are getting the chronic illnesses, Rodney.
Definitely. It's unfortunate. It's a growing global trend. It's not a South African trend.
And so have you had to adapt to the different workplaces? So in other words, the applications of AVA, have you had to make them unique for the different industries and settings? So things like call centers, retail outlets, and remote mines. Have you had to actually ensure that your applications or the platform adapts to meet the specific healthcare needs of these particular workplaces?
Definitely. So, another vertical that we picked up is private schools with private boarding houses. So, most of those kids are terminally. So parents are not there to actually collect them. So we had to design the system that the parent could approve the meds and could approve the prescription and make payments. That turnkey situation would work with the pharmacy that's closest to the school. And then liaise with call centers. They work funny hours. So some of our call centers are doing American work. So we've got staff that are deployed, working a shift from 4 a.m. shift. So it's all dependent on each vertical. And we've also been on manufacturing sites where, if an incident happens, it could be, I wouldn't call fatal, but it could be, a really bad injury. So yes, we've had to adapt every AVA product or module specific to the vertical we're working with.
And how has the reception been like from employers?
It's been overwhelmingly good. Yeah, but keep in mind, this is a global trend. If you look at what's happening in Europe and you look at what's happening, especially in California and in the schools in the US, this self-managed on-site, doctor in a pocket is a global trend because we've got a shortage of doctors, because we've got a shortage of nurses, and just the cost, the way things are done at the moment is extremely expensive, and nothing has changed. The way you see a doctor, see a nurse, see a pharmacist, it hasn't changed, and AVA is here to change things.
And, it really does seem like it definitely will change, the way things are operating at the moment. So just to break it down then, and just for clarity, Rodney, so
yes.
With AVA, we are able to get a doctor who's able to notice particular symptoms? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
So it's a full diagnosis. So if I dumb it down, if you've got earache, when you walk at your company, there's a device. The device goes into your ear. It takes a video of your actual eardrum. That then video footage then goes to my nerve center where my doctors are based. My doctors assess that video and see exactly what's wrong with your eardrum. And from there, he then contacts the staff member or patient, gives a diagnosis explaining what's wrong, and then issues the script or issues the prescription that's required to resolve the diagnosis. So it's a total diagnosis from assessing to obviously issuing the medication.
And how many doctors are on AVA?
So we've got enough doctors to handle 1 million patients.
Oh, my. Oh, that is absolutely lovely. So, when you then explain, this issue of digital doctors and the diagnosis rather than medical advice utilizing data provided, for you and as you, look at it with a bird's eye view, how has it enhanced healthcare accessibility for users across various locations? Even for people who may not have been able to go to a doctor.
Well, that's exactly what's happened. We've done some, when I say remote sites, sites in smaller towns where there's just no accessibility. It's just like they won't see a doctor. It's just not going to happen. They would have to enter the free, into the government's free system. And, that can take up to days before they get to see somebody or they get to get that medication. So what we are saying, this is designed for the masses. A lot of the medical aids are aimed at your higher earners. This product was brought into the country to help the needs of that blue collar worker. They can't afford to pay 700 rand for consultation. They can't afford to pay 300 rand for prescription. We've also got specifically designed prescriptions which are low cost. So you've got a low cost fee of 50 rand a month, and you can get a prescription done for probably around about 150 to 160 rand once off. So we're driving down the cost, we're driving down the efficiency. And what we found in the past, the previous way telemedicine was done, it was done like this. You'd have a telephone call with the doctor and you'd try and make an assessment on a phone call. With using our technology, the doctor now has got no way of making a mistake or no way of misdiagnosing once he's used our medical equipment.
It really does sound like something that a lot of companies would be needing to ensure that, they've got more people at work so that the productivity works better, but also to make sure that when people say they are sick, they actually really are sick, Rodney. Yes. But for those who would like to get in touch with you or would like to, get more information about AVA, how can they do so?
So the best place is to go to our website, so it's guardiani.co.za. And just running off that, when we ran trials at some of the companies, when the trials came to an end, sometimes you would think the employees would have pushback because they feel like they've been micromanaged or watched. They actually wanted the product back.
Mm.
So it gave it's not just for the employer. This is for an employee's benefit at the end of the day.
Mm. So the employees were also just like, hey, this is good for us too.
100%. They were like, bring back AVA. Where's my free medical primary health care that used to be down the passage.
But also, being able to get a diagnosis that quickly and getting a solution. I mean, that in itself, nobody wants to be sick for way too long. So that helps also.
It helps all parties. So everybody's benefiting with the use of AVA. The company's benefiting, the staff members benefiting, the productivity is increased, wellness is in place. So, it's the ecosystem that needs to work for all parties. And what we find at the moment, some of the programs out there is not to the benefits of the staff member.
Absolutely. Rodney, thank you so much for your time and thanks for sharing about AVA and how it benefits not just the employer but also the employees too.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Rodney Taylor, Managing Director at Guardian AVA, speaking to us about AVA and the solutions that they have found to reduce employee absenteeism and significantly at that. And as you heard, they give you a diagnosis. So if they realize that you've got an ear problem, right, you then get a diagnosis. So they take a picture of the ear and they're able to send it to the doctors that are able to serve, by the way, over 1 million people. And then they send it to the doctors and they say to them, well, this is the situation with Owen. Owen's ear looks like this at the moment. And then they say, well, Owen has got an ear infection. And imagine that. You can just imagine, how some people I don't like being sick for too long. Like it's frustrating. I don't like being sick, period. But I really think that it is so beneficial. AVA is just so beneficial for the employer and for the employee. I really would like to speak to also some of the employers that have used AVA and the employees and what they made of this particular program or this particular platform. It is 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Coming up